Hi everybody, this morning I'm going to show you just a small snippet of how long it actually takes to blend. I'm going to be doing just this small area here for you this morning, so let's get started. What I normally will do is I put a base layer down of the lightest colour that I'll be using, and then I'll go through my darker tones once all that's blended in. So this is a Prismacolor and it is beige. Now I always use small circular motions to put the pencil down, and I use a very light hand to do it with, because you don't want to burnish it into the paper and lose the tooth of the paper too early on. So as you can see, I'm just doing small circular motions and putting a very, very light layer of the beige down on the paper first. Now all the edges, because it's out of focus in the background of this piece, all the edges will blend in to the other colours that are surrounding it. So the edges don't actually matter at the minute, it's the main area that I'm working on. I'll do the blending of the edges as we go along. Now for my blending, I always use paper stump, like this. And again, I use circular motions to blend it, because you don't want to see any lines from the pencil. If I just went up and down or side to side, you would definitely see the pencil lines. Whereas if you go in circular motions with a pencil and then go in circular motions again with the blending stump, it gives you a really nice smooth effect. There we go. Now the next colour I'm going to be using, just around the edges, is the Polychromo Brown Ochre. So now I will just go around the very, very edge with this. Again, going in small circular motions, because I don't want to see the pencil lines, because this all wants to blend in nicely with the other colours around it. Using a very light hand, not pushing down at all. And I'm constantly referring back to my reference photo, which I got from Pixabay, which is a free reference photo, copyright free reference photo site. So once I've gone around, I want to kind of blend it gently into the green below it. And I'll go around here, because this area, this whole portion of this little section here is actually slightly darker than the rest of it, so we'll add some of the darker colour to that whole area. Like that. I do apologise for my camera if it keeps going out of focus. It's just my normal camera that I take my own reference photos with. I am hoping to get a better one at some point. And now we're going to move on to the Polychromo Burnt Ochre, because I want these two colours to blend into each other, so I'm not going to blend them with the paper stump separately. I'm actually going to work them into each other using the pencils, and then I'll use the blending stump after that to get a nice smooth blend with them. But it's a process that certainly takes a while. But it's worth doing it properly the first time and getting the blends, because if you don't, it does leave marks on the paper and doesn't give you the smooth blend that you're looking for. So it's worth taking the time to do it. Now, I'm going to move in slightly with this darker tone and put it straight onto the lighter section, and again into here. And just up at the top. But I also want to add a small bit of my green, which is earth green yellowish, and it's another polychrome rose pencil. And just add a tiny touch of it just at the very, very top. There we go. And now I will blend with the paper stump, because I've got several different colours on now, and I want them all to blend nicely together, and I want the green to blend in right at the top there, so it's just a hint of it rather than solid colour. And keep going round. If I go over the edge, it doesn't matter because it will blend in to the next section anyway. So that is that section of the blending. And now I want some brighter yellow just at the bottom of here. So add that. Again, using a very light hand, small circular motions. I'm not pushing down at all. I'm just allowing the pencil to put some very light colour down, and the yellow also will go into this green, so I shall go over it now. Like that. And I'm going to go back in now with the burnt ochre, and I'm actually going to go through this central section and just add a small bit into the central section, because I want the outer sections to be much brighter than the central section, and at the minute that is too light, so I shall go over the edge of the yellow so all that will blend in nicely together. And then I'll come back in with my blending stump and I will blend all that out. Now the paper stump, as you can see from mine, it is very well loved. It's being held together by low tack tape actually, and the end does look quite dirty, but that doesn't matter because we're blending the colours in together. It doesn't actually make that much of a difference. Obviously if I was going to then start another section which was really light with a cream or a ivory, I would obviously clean that first. And the way I clean my paper stumps is using sandpaper and basically just sanding off a very small layer of just the tip of the blending stump to get the dirty area that's actually got pigment on it, and that then shows nice clean paper which you can move on to the next section with. But with these being all around the same sort of colour values, it doesn't matter that much. Now this is a brighter colour again, it's terracotta and it's again a polychrome rose pencil. And I'm going just in at the edges where I want it to be darker, Again, very light hand and in circular motions. This is what I will do all the way across the whole piece. Doesn't make a difference whether I'm working on a large area or a small area. It's always in circular motions and with a very light hand, and lots and lots of layers. Always add layers. Now I'll come back in again with the paper stump and I will blend that colour out. Now, I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but there's two areas just there and there that are looking ever so slightly darker than I want them to. So what I will do is come in with my Faber-Castell, it's actually an eraser pencil, and I will very, very gently just ever so carefully, almost flicking the colour away in the two darkest areas until it's back to the shade that I want it to be, and then brush it off and it's all looking nice and even again now. Just one more small little area just there. I just want to lighten up a tiny touch. Now I'm going back in again with this colour. Now I'm going to start pressing ever so slightly on the paper because I want to get more pigment actually down in these areas. I'm still working the circular motion. I'm not pushing down hard at all. I'm just putting slightly more pressure on than I was to get slightly more pigment down on the actual paper itself and onto this next layer. Like so. Also going over the dark area here because the colours will blend in nicely together, and then going over this section on this side. Again, slightly more pressure, but I'm not pushing down by any means. I'm going to add a small bit of the yellow, which is cadmium yellow, just over the top of that, because I just want to brighten it up ever so slightly. And again, on this side, same thing, just repeating the same things on both sides to make sure they're nice and even and look very similar. There we go. And now back in with the burnt ochre again, just to blend towards the centre slightly more, to give a slightly out of focus feel to this section. I don't want any sharp edges, any crisp lines. I want it all to look slightly blurry and out of focus. That's the look I'm going for on this section, and that's what I'm hoping to achieve. Now I will come back in again with my blending stump and go all the way around this edge here and work into the centre again in circular motions. Don't want harsh lines. Now, there we go. And one little tiny area that's just slightly darker than the rest, which I will again use my eraser pencil and just lift that back off, and then put a tiny bit of this colour back, And that is basically what I will continue to do until I have got all the colour that I want, and until it's nicely blended into all the other sections that are surrounding it. And then I will move on to this section here, which is just below it, and this section is much more green. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.